We're going to be taking you through the declaration of seats all the way through to the final speeches. Come now, let me show you what we're doing. Thank you. This is it, folks. This is the control room. This is where all the magic happens. This is where Michael Sharp and the rest of the team are going to be bringing you all the information as soon as it comes in. Now, remember what I told you? We have a great show for you this evening. Before we get to that, though, we are going to go to Primetime News for a rundown of everything that's been happening throughout the day.
In primetime news this evening, the winner is EOJ starts counting ballots for general election, and winner takes all. Party leaders vote, but what will a loss mean for their future in politics? Decision 2020. Our coverage of the general election continues right after this break. Good evening and welcome to this Election Day edition of Primetime News. We're live on air and online at onespotmedia.com. I'm Herman Green. Now also this evening, the business day and sports headlines. But before that, here is our feedback question. Were you satisfied with the procedures put in place for Election Day? Please share your comments online at facebook.com/televisionjamaica and tweet us at televisionjam. Please stay with us. Primetime News returns right after this break.
...2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've
welcome
got
back to
you...
Primetime News, and a special welcome to those of you watching on onespotmedia.com. We begin our election news coverage with Vashon Brown, who is at the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, the hub of the election day proceedings. Vashon, what can you tell us?
Thank you so much, Herman. I am live at the election center on Red Hills Road in St. Andrew. Now, as you can imagine, the polls closed at 5 p.m., so things will get pretty busy here, especially as the reports are preparing to come in from the various polling stations across the island. Now, just to give you some turnout information, at 11 a.m., turnout stood at 16%, and that's the all-island summary. Now, in 2016, turnout was at 16.96%, so pretty much around the same. Now, at 2 p.m., turnout for this election was at 31%, and this is based on information from 89 polling stations across the island. At 3 p.m. in 2016, turnout was at 39.94%. In terms of the various constituencies, now 3 constituencies with the highest turnout so far, again based on the 2 p.m. information that we received from the EOJ. St. Elizabeth Southeast, 40.69%, St. Elizabeth Southwest, 39.51%, and Clarendon North with 38.76%. In terms of the 3 constituencies recording the lowest turnout so far based on the 2 p.m. information, Kingston East and Port Royal, 21.44%, St. James Northwest, 23.85%, and St. Catherine West Central, 24.54%. Now, just to remind you that at the end of the general elections in 2016, turnout overall was roughly 48%, the lowest ever, except for in 1983 when the PNP did not contest that election. So that's the information we have for you at the moment from the EOJ, and we will continue to update those numbers for you. And we will be here at the election center right up until the point where a winner is announced. So please stay with us right here on TVJ. I'm Vashon Brown reporting live from the election center.
All right, thank you very much, Vashon Brown. And it was more frustration on election day for the voting public, as a system which was designed to ease the pressure on manual voting had its own issues. O'Shane Masters has the details.
Election day was not without a bit of challenge. Voters complained about the slow voting process, but more so the electronic voter identification and ballot issuing system, EVBIS. Now, with EVBIS, registered electors will be identified and verified at the polling station by using their fingerprints, after which the system will issue authenticated ballots for voting. Director of Elections Glasspool Brown says the issues experienced were due to the high voting traffic in some of the constituencies where the system was being used.
The fact is that the machine is intended to speed up the process. It's a quicker way to identify the elector rather than using this manual process. So there have been some issues. We have started to look at how best we can improve on that. So it has contributed to a certain extent, but what is significant though, the turnout this morning, based on just looking at it without actually seeing the actual data, seemed to suggest that there was a fairly heavy turnout during the first 2 hours this morning.
He, however, noted that for the afternoon, the decision was taken to revert to the manual system in some constituencies experiencing issues with the electronic system. There were also challenges faced by the voting public with checking where they are to vote using the ECJ website. Mr. Brown says they had been having issues with the online platform for a few days now.
What we anticipate in terms of the usage of that online process is the actual usage is way above our expectation. For example, in the past, we normally have maybe one hit per minute. We are now having near 3 hits per second.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Now, ahead of the counting, our reporter Andrea Chisholm is at the Jamaica Labour Party headquarters on Belmont Road in St. Andrew. Andrea, what's happening there now?
"2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
Reduce your risk of viral illnesses like the flu and coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing with a tissue and dispose of it. Avoid close contact with anyone with a cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or the nearest health center and share your travel history. The flu and coronavirus can kill. Let's protect each other. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
The date is set.
The general elections for the year 2020 is therefore Thursday, September the 3rd, 2020.
Even with the COVID-19 pandemic, TVJ News has every beat covered. Join us for Decision 2020.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
Decision 2020. Comprehensive election coverage. Weeknights in primetime news and our special election program. TVJ News, keeping you informed.
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
Reduce your risk of viral illnesses like the flu and coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing with a tissue and dispose of it. Avoid close contact with anyone with a cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or the nearest health center and share your travel history. The flu and coronavirus can kill. Let's protect each other. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
The date is set.
The general elections for the year 2020 is therefore Thursday, September the 3rd, 2020.
Even with the COVID-19 pandemic, TVJ News has every beat covered. Join us for Decision 2020.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
Decision 2020. Comprehensive election coverage. Weeknights in primetime news and our special election program. TVJ News, keeping you informed.
"2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020. "2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020, COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters count."
Welcome back to Primetime News. As we continue our Election Day coverage, we are now joined by Janella Precious at the People's National Party headquarters. Janella.
Thank you so much, Herman. Well, it is early days yet here at 89 Old Hope Road. In previous elections, the road would have been blocked by now and a huge stage erected. But tonight, the speakers will be addressing supporters from here. This makeshift stage located to the front of the office. Now, there are a handful of supporters around, and there is an expectation that more will come. Now, the people here were literally counting down to the close of polling stations. They seem to be very optimistic about their party's chances at the poll. Herman, outside there's a heavy police presence, while on entering the property there is an elaborate thermometer and disinfectant station set up near the security booth. Now, we haven't seen any party officials just yet, and I've been told that they are preparing to make their way to party headquarters. So until such time, I'm Janella Precious, returning it over to you.
All right, thank you, Janella. Now, as both parties prepare to celebrate, PNP leader Dr. Peter Phillips has announced that if the PNP loses this election, he will be stepping down as party leader and president. As Janella Precious reports, the revelation came as Dr. Phillips cast his ballot in St. Andrew Northeastern.
Reach Academy in Upper St. Andrew, we observed a steady flow of people who showed up to vote. Due to the protocols, we were limited in terms of access to the polling station, but measures to contain the spread of the coronavirus were in full display. The polling station is located in the St. Andrew Eastern constituency. The man seeking to be the country's 10th Prime Minister, Dr. Peter Phillips. With his family in tow, they headed into the polling station. Dr. Phillips's name is on the ballot, though, in East Central St. Andrew. He's been the MP for 26 years.
You still think that you're going to get 40 seats?
I have not put a number on it. I think we will have the majority of the seats.
A loss for the opposition could mean the end of Dr. Phillips's political career. We also put that issue to him.
Just to be clear, that if you lose the election today, that you're going to be retiring from politics or stepping down as party leader?
Both.
Meanwhile, the opposition leader has already begun to look ahead if the PNP forms the next government. Dr. Phillips is currently 70 years old. He rose to the post of leader of the PNP in 2017 after the then president, Portia Simpson Miller, stepped down.
And the JLP leader, Andrew Holness, was asked the same question. What would be his next step if his party loses?
Myself forward to the people, and I have to always be prepared for whichever outcome. But I think I still have many more years of service to the people of Jamaica.
Now our coverage of Decision 2020 continues. We'll be right back after this break.
"2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
Reduce your risk of viral illnesses like the flu and coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing with a tissue and dispose of it. Avoid close contact with anyone with a cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or the nearest health center and share your travel history. The flu and coronavirus can kill. Let's protect each other. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
Primetime news. Our election coverage continues over in central Manchester, where 3 candidates are racing for that seat. TVJ News caught up with them earlier today. Shamela Pullen has the story.
Incumbent Peter Bunting has served central Manchester on a People's National Party PNP ticket for the past 13 years. Mr. Bunting says based on the turnout of the security forces on Monday, he was expecting to see a reduction in the number of voters today.
When I came to central Manchester, I committed to be available for 4 terms as a member of parliament. Today, this morning, I'm fulfilling that commitment to them.
Mr. Bunting is being challenged by the Jamaica Labour Party's Rhoda Moy Crawford, who is seeking to take over the reins.
From very early, we have been sensitizing our supporters as we move daily on our house-to-house campaign. And we have done a series of social media adverts to sensitize our supporters and just generally people of Manchester Central and the wider Jamaica.
But independent candidate Rowan Chung, who mounted a major advertising campaign, is hoping for a landslide victory.
It's not raining. It's really raining right now. It's raining heavily at this moment. So I hope the voters are still turning up, still willing to change the monopoly of this constituency. So I look forward for that.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
And covering the parish of St. Anne is our reporter Giovanni Dennis. And we will get back to Giovanni in just a minute, but the parish of St. Mary.
Thank you. No, I'm here just outside the St. Teresa Catholic Church in Onoto St. Mary in the southeast St. Mary constituency. Now, going up in this seat is the incumbent Dr. Norman Dunn, and he is being contested by Dr. Shane Alexis. Now, the big question being asked in this constituency is who will be victorious when all the ballots are counted this evening. Now, The persons here we're talking to on the ground are making it known that they believe that Norman Dunn will come out on top. The PNP supporters are saying that they believe Shane Alexis will come out. Now, as we got here today, it was clear that the COVID-19 protocols were the order of the day. Now, that would include social distancing, that also included temperature checks and sanitization before voters were allowed into the polling station. Now, on the outside,
I think Shane Alexis is the best choice, and I am supporting Shane Alexis to the fullest.
Now, we spoke with PNP candidate Dr. Shane Alexis, and he is expressing confidence.
Today is another good day for Southeast St. Mary. The People's National Party is ready. We've been executing our plan, and at 5 o'clock we believe we'll come out victorious.
We tried to contact the incumbent JLP, Dr. Norman Dunn. However, several calls to his cell phone went unanswered. The JLP supporters, however...
It's not a handout, man, but you have to understand in do things to the community. You see me?
Some PNP persons may argue that him not do enough. How you respond to that?
Because them don't used to doings. When you don't used to something, you're not going to recognize it. You get me?
Others saw things differently.
And from me, I need me a PNP. Nobody can get me vote for JLP. However, they put me dying bed. Me trying to vote for PNP. And if me can't go, me just stay by myself.
So as the clock ticks and the countdown continues, all eyes will be watching the Southeast St. Mary constituency, and we will be monitoring the proceedings and will provide updates. Until then, it's back to you in studio.
All right, thanks, Anthony Lugg there. Now, our coverage goes to another parish. Jordan Fort has been monitoring the activities in St. James West Central.
Now, though being the MP for St. James West Central, Marlene Malahoo Fort was concerned that the lengthy delays for persons before they vote due to the COVID-19 protocol enforcement may affect the outcome in her constituency.
A lot of persons came out for the first hour. Many have said they've been in the line from 6 o'clock. Somehow it's going rather slowly on the inside. Some stations are crawling, others are moving as expeditiously given the many things that need to be done.
In the meantime, her challenger, Dr. Andre Horton, while noting the issues at play, put some of it down to political gamesmanship. He also doubled down on his controversial statement, questioning the qualification of noted pollster Don Anderson.
We're in a world where we're looking at big data, very big data management, data that is very large. And if you have a population of 30,000 and you select out of it 200 or even 100, and you're using that to make inference, it shows a level of ignorance.
In the meantime, MP for Central St. James, Leroy Clark, dismissed any possibility of challenger Andre Hilton returning the seat to the PNP.
I still want to know why is it that he won the seat in St. Andrew, lost the seat, and was kicked out of the seat and ended up in Montego in St. James.
Hilton, on the other hand, says he was confident the work he has done over the past 2.5 years will pay off.
And I believe the people have logged on to what I've been sharing with them and the vision that I've been expressing. And I believe they're going to vote for a change.
So that's what we have for you from the constituencies of St. James Central and St. James West Central. Reporting from the Cornwall College High School in the constituency of St. James Central, I'm Jordan Fort for TVJ News.
All right, thanks, Jordan. And we now go back to St. Anne, where our reporter Giovanni Dennis has been monitoring election day activities.
It's the Battle of the Marginals in Western St. Anne. I've been traversing Northwest St. Anne and Southwest St. Anne. Now, the incumbent for Northwest St. Anne, Dr. Dayton Campbell, is looking to defend a 410 margin of victory against two challengers, Crystal Lee of the JLP and independent candidate Peter Shand, as he seeks a third consecutive term in office. Now, I spoke with Dr. Campbell this morning outside his constituency office in Brownstown.
I feel very confident. Very confident. Our canvas is the best canvas I've seen since I've been here in any election. And so I expect today that we will come out victorious and that we'll come out by a larger margin than the two previous elections.
But the team supporting Crystal Lee was also expressing confidence.
Ms. Crystalia put in the work and we're supporting her 100%. And the Prime Minister basically have set the tone the last few years. So one more term for Brogan.
Now, the PNP supporters I spoke with earlier were very critical, however, of the incumbent Xavier Main.
They sabotage just when they're having anything, they only share it for themselves.
Mr. Main and his supporters, however, are defending his stewardship.
From day one I've been a working MP. I have done things that the people were hoping to have done for many, many, many decades. Now they have seen it done.
Keith Walford of the PNP won this seat in 2011 by just over 800 votes. In 2016, Xavier Main won this seat by 337 votes, which is what makes this seat one of the marginals in this 2016 general election. Reporting from St. Anne, I'm Giovanni Dennis for TVJ News.
And we now go over to St. Andrew Eastern. Karen Madden is there.
Thank you very much, Herman. We are now at the Mountain View Primary School, where voting went smoothly all day today. But with polls set to close about now, just under an hour ago, several voters complained of standing in line for close to an hour, but were still unable to cast their vote. This at the Top Range Community Center, just next door to where we are standing here. Most voters opted not to speak on camera or with the media, but TVJ makeup artist Tammy Megro Samuels explained what happened as she was among those waiting to vote.
I got here at 3 o'clock. Thought I would be in and out in a nice, efficient way. However, there is no social distancing, number one. Number two, I've been in this line waiting to get inside the polling station itself for about 45 minutes. In the hot sun. And we're just standing one place. There's no movement.
What are they saying is the problem?
I'm hearing from community members that the machine is not working properly, so they have to do things manually. And that's why there's a holdup.
Are you gonna wait?
Not sure.
We spoke to an EOJ supervisor who declined to confirm or deny those reports about a malfunctioning machine, as she was not authorized to speak with the media. Reporting from the Mountain View Primary School in St. Andrew Eastern, Karen Madden, turning you back to Herman Green in TVJ Studios.
All right, thanks, Karen. Now, while the polling stations are now closed, the party machineries were visibly at work in St. Andrew Northwest. Runners, now that is the name given to the transportation teams recruited by the parties to bring voters out or assist voters in coming to the polling station and voting. This includes assisting the physically challenged. Now, Shamela Pullen has this report.
Voters queued up at the Marvelly Primary and Junior High School in Northwest St. Andrew were determined to vote, an umbrella indicating no matter the weather. But as the able-bodied stood in line, party workers on both sides could be seen assisting those who are not so nimble. This lady explains that despite her disability, she wants to keep the current leadership in place.
I have a good leader, and we cannot throw him away. He work hard for the people, He work very hard, more than hard as a prime minister. Yes. I sit down and see him work. Right. And he must get paid for his job.
The GLP workers have been assisting persons like her all morning. Not to be outdone, the PNP runners have been doing the same, assisting the elderly and the physically challenged. The incumbent for the Northwest St. Andrew constituency is Dr. Nigel Clark. He took over after winning a by-election as the former MP Derek Smith stepped down because of illness. The GLP has won this seat comfortably in the last 5 elections. However, the PNP runners are bringing in as many votes as possible for their candidate to run banks and their party.
PNP have to win today. We have to win today. I take it to them today. Yeah, know that. I take it to them. I take it to them. Today. I take it to them. Yeah. We not give it them. I take it to them. Good job, I love it. I love it.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
And we now take a break here on Primetime News, but stay with us. The Business Day when we return.
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
Reduce your risk of viral illnesses like the flu and coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing with a tissue and dispose of it. Avoid close contact with anyone with a cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or the nearest health center and share your travel history. The flu and coronavirus can kill. Let's protect each other. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
The date is set.
The general elections for the year 2020 is therefore Thursday, September the 3rd, 2020.
Even with the COVID-19.
Still on the hunt for the men who robbed the Ready Cash outlet in Junction St. Elizabeth yesterday. 2 men were initially held and they were mistakenly detained by the police in the confusion and were not involved in the robbery. They are not suspects and were released. And it's time now for the responses to our feedback question from our friends on social media. Our question this evening: were you satisfied with the procedures put in place for the election day? Our first response is from Anthony, who says, yes, it was kind of slow, but I was satisfied because they were just following the necessary precautions. Another one from Nisike. She says, yes, all protocols were respectfully obeyed. Our question again: were you satisfied with the procedures put in place for election day? Keep your comments coming. Facebook.com/Television Jamaica and tweet us at Television Jam. We go now to the business day. Stock trading ended with the JSC index up more than 1,851 points, while the junior market index lost 3. The top performers of the day were Siboney Group, ISP Finance, Main Event Entertainment, First Rock Capital, and Jamaican Teas. Now on the losing end were Dolphin Cove, Elite Diagnostics, Trans-Jamaican Highway, Jamaica Producers, and The Lab. Meanwhile, the JSC Group says its offices are currently closed to facilitate deep cleaning and sanitizing after a member of staff contracted COVID-19. It says the offices will reopen on Monday, but stressed that it has implemented remote working and is asking the public to reduce access to the premises and do transactions online where possible. Now, oil prices fell today. At the end of trading today, oil was being sold for $41.28 a barrel. That's down 23 cents. And on the currency market, trading was limited today. With that, the BOJ has decided to maintain the rates from yesterday into tomorrow. As a reminder, it means at the opening of trading tomorrow, the US dollar will be sold for $147.81. The Canadian dollar will cost $131.06. And we now join our colleagues in Studio A for Decision 2020.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is Decision 2020. I'm Dion Jax-Miller. 1,913,410 registered voters across Jamaica, 63 constituencies. Which candidates will make it to Gordon House? Which party leader will make it to Jamaica House? We'll be here with you all evening until those questions are answered. We'd like to thank our viewers across the world, Television Jamaica, Television Jamaica News, Television Jamaica International in Cayman, I beg your pardon, Jamaica News Network, our local listeners on Radio Jamaica 94 FM, Power 106 FM, and we are also broadcasting on the Caribbean Superstation 90.9 FM, serving the British and US Virgin Islands, Broadcasting Network Radio in Jamaica, in Grenada, also NBC Radio, and that is 107.5 FM, and as well 90.7 FM, that's in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. As well, we are broadcasting on Starcom Network in Barbados and Carivision in the tri-state area. Our expert analysts for the evening with me in studio, we have Earl Moxham, Clive Mullings, Emily Shields, Nicole Gordon. Also with us this evening in studio, we have Floyd Morris. With us on location at the JLP headquarters on Belmont Road, we have Andrea Chisholm. Janella Perseus is on Old Hope Road at the PNP headquarters. Vashon Brown is at the Electoral office. Before we hear from anybody though, here's Herman Green. He's going to explain to us how the election will be won.
Thanks, Dion. Viewers, welcome to our Decision 2020 virtual presentation. We will walk you through how this election will populate the lower house. Welcome to the House of Representatives. There are 63 constituencies for the election. Both parties will be hoping that at the end of tonight, most of their candidates would have earned a place here. Now, we'll take you through this race to 32. 32 because that's the magic number. It's the lowest number of seats a party needs to win this election. 32 and above ensures they have enough seats to form the government and take their place at the right of the Speaker when the new Parliament convenes. This was the composition of Parliament before it was dissolved. 34 on the government side, which includes the Speaker of the House, who would be in that seat behind me. Then, on the left of the Speaker, it was 29 seats. That's the number of seats the opposition had before Parliament was dissolved on August 13. Now, members of the opposition are hoping that when the ballots have been counted tonight, they will be able to cross the aisle to take their seats over there. While the government ranks, they are hoping to maintain the status quo and remain on the right of the Speaker, while increasing their majority from the 34 they had in the previous Parliament. But today, that slate is wiped clean. There are no government seats, there are no opposition seats at the moment. The results of today's election will fill them in. So, who will be the winner this evening? Who will reach 32 seats or more and form the majority party in Gordon House and control Jamaica House? That, you'll have to wait and see. Dion?
Thanks so much, Herman. I love how you put it there, the race to 32. We're going to be touching base with Herman again as those seats fill up in Gordon House and as we figure out, in fact, who is en route to crossing the finish line first. Now, let's go to Janella Perseus. She's at PNP headquarters. Okay, I tell you what, let's just take quick comments from our analysts. And Emily, let me start with you.
Very interesting day for all different reasons. Good afternoon. Welcome to the coverage here on TVJ. I note for start that we're being told the voter turnout is probably in the region of 30-something%, and we'll get the final numbers very soon. That is interesting. If that is so, that's going to be the second lowest voter turnout we've had, except the other one was in an uncontested election in 1983 when the JLP went ahead, the PNP boycotted that election. So this one is going to be the lowest in a contested election if these numbers hold. But I'm sure we can't even bank on conventional wisdom just yet because there are a lot of dynamics at play here, Dion.
That's for sure. Earl?
And I'll pick up on what Emily just said in terms of not being able to bank on conventions here because of the unpredictable nature of that factor called the pandemic, COVID-19. It's interesting as well, Dion, that when Herman spoke of the race to 32, imagine that when we started this journey in 1944, in fact,
that
the
was
full
the number.
complement was 32 seats.
Yes.
Now we are up to 63.
Yeah.
Wow. And we've adjusted several times along the
Yeah.
way to get there. Clive Mullings.
Interesting times ahead. This general election is won in a pandemic and an election which no doubt persons are wondering where is the tide going to turn. Some political fortunes where individuals are concerned will be settled tonight. And there are a number of very close constituencies that we'll be watching. I think that we're in for some surprises, and going forward, it could also have some implications for the leadership of the People's National Party. Interesting times yet. Let us see what happens. Interesting to know what's going to happen, especially in Clarendon and in Trelawney North.
Absolutely. Nicole.
I think we're in for a very interesting evening and quite exciting for some. Some people will not be so happy, but life will have to continue. I have been very curious about the effect that the voter turnout will have on the results this evening. So I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing what will happen as we proceed.
And Floyd.
Well, you know, as an active politician, I'm very much curious as to what the outcome is going to be. But as I contemplate on what the outcome is going to be, I also am looking at what will happen after tomorrow, especially in light of the surge that is taking place in terms of the COVID pandemic, because whosoever takes over the governance of the country tonight will have that to deal with as the first order of priority, as I believe it will be priority number 1 and priority number 2.
I was looking, you all mentioned the number of marginal seats. I think in 2016, St. Mary's Southeast would have been the smallest margin, 5 votes.
5 votes, yeah.
Magisterial recount.
Right.
And South St. James with 62, St. Catherine Northeast with 122, and St. Andrew Eastern with 161. So lots of stuff really there to get into and to look at. Earl, I know, explain to our viewers, if you would, the whole concept of a weather vane constituencies and the ones that we have here.
Well, a weather vane constituency is one that is indicative in the sense of elections of where the national vote tends to be swinging. And certainly in the Jamaican context, I think Eastern Hanover and St. Elizabeth Southwestern have traditionally been 2 of the most important weather vane constituencies. Now, Southwest St. Elizabeth has maintained that tradition up to now, and therefore all eyes, I suspect, will be on that constituency, even if the incumbent Jamaica Labour Party is doing fairly well elsewhere. I think it will look for confirmation early in the night if the results come out of St. Elizabeth Southwest early enough. On the other hand, the People's National Party will also be paying some close attention there. There's been talk of a bit of an upswing in support for the BNP down there, but it is yet to be seen because I think they had not put as much emphasis on that particular constituency as they had, for example, the neighboring constituency of Southeast St. Elizabeth. But certainly, weather vane constituencies have been important in Jamaica's political history.
Would you be expecting any of them to veer from the norm tonight?
Well, we spoke about moving from the conventional wisdom. And on this occasion, one wonders whether, depending, for example, on how many the population of elderly persons in a particular division or constituency, how many of them are affected by COVID-19, whether their relatives are going to be insisting on taking them out or insisting on them returning at home. So there might be some factors that you would normally not associate with an election day, which perhaps could be decisive.
No, we're going to start out early declaring some of the expected constituencies because, Clive, any election, they're the ones that we know, each side know they can put a pot on fire over. Eh?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So for you, what would be your top 5 you're expecting?
Northwest St. James, for sure. I expect Dr. Chang to prevail there. I also think that in terms of the Prime Minister's constituency, yes,
Or Central St. Andrew.
Yes, thank you. That expecting to bring that home. Kingston Central, I think that the People's National Party will be able to hold on to that.
That's interesting because we're hearing some soundings about Kingston Central at the moment.
Well,
so we'll watch and see. I wouldn't quite, it's conventionally there, but because of the soundings, I would hold off. But you're naming your top 5. Go ahead.
Yes, and I'm also looking, well, in Westmoreland.
Let me interrupt you just for a moment, Clive, because we are ready to declare. We're going to be declaring Kingston Western now for the Jamaica Labour Party's Desmond Mackenzie. Okay, so Desmond Mackenzie up against Joseph Bonnie Whittle, who has run several times now, and I think we can safely say that this one was a done deal.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so that's our first declaration of the night. Kingston Western declared for Desmond Mackenzie of the Jamaica Labour Party. And this constituency has a history, Earl, when it comes to heavyweights in the JLP.
Yes, this constituency has been associated from the very beginning with the heavyweights in the JLP, as you said, started with Sir Alexander Bustamante, the leader of the Jamaica Labour Party. He left it and went to Clarendon. That section, which is now Clarendon Southeast, was part of his. But yes, then you had Hugh Shearer, then Edward Seaga. And Edward Seaga has dominated that for decades. He had a very significant contest with Dudley Thompson in 1962 and 1967. But then after that, as Mr. Seaga himself would have said, argument done. And then, of course, Bruce Golding succeeded him there as well.
Yes.
And then Desmond Mackenzie.
Yes. Not, however, though, Nicole, the current leader of the Jamaica Labour Party.
No. But, of course, he's also fine in St. Andrew, West Central, so I don't think that would be a challenge. The seats that I am looking at and very curious about, to begin with St. Andrew Eastern, which is
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Let's go to another declaration. TVJ is declaring St. Andrew South for the PNP's Mark Golding. Okay, so we're at 1 each at this point. Yes, Nicole. My apologies.
Sure. I'm looking at St. Andrew Eastern, Favour Williams and Venetia Phillips. That had a difference of 161 in 2016. I'm also looking at the St. Anne Northwestern, Dayton Campbell and Crystal Lee, and the effect that Peter Shand might have on Dayton Campbell's votes. I'm looking to see, because I'm not certain, again, given the low voter turnout, how that will go. There's also Trelawny in Northern, Tova Hamilton and Victor Wright.
That's an interesting one, but hold on for a moment. Let's go to a break as we continue here. Decision 2020 on TVJ. We'll be right back.
TVJ's Decision 2020, brought to you by
Get unlimited look.
"2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters' count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters' count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
Reduce your risk of viral illnesses like the flu and coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing with a tissue and dispose of it. Avoid close contact with anyone with a cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or the nearest health center and share your travel history. The flu and coronavirus can kill. Let's protect each other. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters' count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we...
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Decision 2020. We are bringing you the results of the election as they unfold. Now, just before the break, Nicole, you were speaking about Northern Trelawney, and I want to go back to that because this is an interesting one. It's traditionally been seen as PNP. In 2011, 23-21 was a margin of victory, but in 2016 down to 449.
And my understanding is that Ms. Hamilton is in fact doing a lot of work in the constituency, and one would get the impression that Victor Wright might be in jeopardy.
All right, one second, Nicole. We're sorting out something there. Let me go to Floyd. Floyd, talk to me a little bit about Trelawney North.
Well, Trelawney North is one of those constituencies, as you said, that has been voting consistently for the People's National Party, certainly over the past 30 or so years. And, I mean, we had Wendell Stewart, Bulbul Stewart in 97, and, well, it's coming from Desmond Leakey down to Wendell Bulbul Stewart, then to Patrick Harris.
Patrick Atkinson.
Patrick Harris.
Harris and then Atkinson.
Patrick Atkinson. And then Victor Wright. And 2016, there was a dip in the numbers because there was a massive swing against the party. But I have spoken to operatives on the ground down there, and they assured me that, you know, I have nothing to fear.
Let me let you pick up, Nicole.
Well, the question for me is, the polls all suggest a swing towards the JLP. And so the question and the issue becomes, given that this swing persists even in 2020, do we have a pandemic effect? Or do we have the swing continuing towards Ms. Hamilton? And so that is what I think about.
We're going to hear this pandemic effect throughout the evening, but right now let's go to Janela Perseus. She's at PNP headquarters. Okay, not quite yet. We will get back to her though. But
let me come in on Trelawney North, because I'm tracking those results live at the moment. 13 boxes of 135 counted. Victor Wright has 699, Tova Hamilton 519. So it's a 5% gap between them at the moment. We're not sure where the boxes are coming from. I was hoping we could get some indication as to the polling division, because we know that Falmouth, for example, is the PNP's bastion, and we know that the JLP is strong in the Wakefield area. But so far, 13 boxes, and it is pretty close. Tova Hamilton is just 5% in behind Victor Wright in Trelawney Northern at the moment.
And I must confess, I'm not surprised. Tova Hamilton, young lawyer, a lot of energy, and she has been applying herself. She has an uphill task, though, given the history of Northern Trelawney. But it seems, bearing in mind the margin in 2016, which was really a situation where, 449 votes, and they're coming from, in 2011, of 2,321 votes. So it seems to me that is saying a lot.
Yeah.
As to what happened where enumeration is concerned is another question, because of the numbers enumerated, how many were really enumerated by the incumbent or by the challenger or her party. So I believe tonight, Northern Trelawney is going to figure quite prominently.
Well, since we do have the results coming in, perhaps we could take a couple. Emily, let me ask you to pick up perhaps St. Andrew Eastern as well.
I am at Eastern, that's right. Favour Williams, 29 boxes counted of 110. Remember, the JLP strong in the Mona division, the PNP traditionally in the Papine division. Venetia Phillips is counting that division. Favour has 2,027, Venetia Phillips 851. So if these boxes are coming from the Mona division, these are the numbers we expect. But she can't be too far behind Favour, but perhaps when she gets over to the Papine division, we'll see the numbers rolling in for her. Early days yet, and this says it's at 11% voter turnout.
Wow.
11?
That is what I'm seeing up
Maybe
here.
that's where
Emily, take a look at Portland Eastern as well for me.
Portland Eastern at the moment, as you know, this was the seat that Anne-Marie Vaz won in a by-election against Damon Crawford. Wow, Purcell Jackson is now just a slither behind in terms of numbers, but they're both equal in terms of the percentage of vote. So it's 1,446 for Anne-Marie Vaz, Reverend Purcell Jackson, 1,427, 27 boxes of 127 boxes counted. Now, some people believe that this would be a safe seat relatively for the JLP, despite the conventional 30-year hold by the PNP previous to Dr. Linval Bloomfield's
too early to be safe.
Unfortunate murder. That's right.
You can't declare a safe seat like
No, it's not a declaration. So I'm saying a lot of people said because of the voter turnout that they had and the JLP managing to overturn the votes in the by-election, winning by 300 and something, and the work that Anne-Marie Vaz has put in, they would say it's solid. But I have it in my list of seats to watch tonight, and the early indications right now, 27 boxes counted, and they're even Stevens 50% each.
Okay, let me take you to St. Andrew East Rural, where Juliet Holness is the candidate for the JLP. Right now, she's at 860 votes. Joan Gordon Webley of the PNP at 886. That's 18 boxes out of 132. 18 boxes out of 132. Joan Gordon Webley at 886. Juliet Holness of the JLP, 860.
Wow.
So all depends on where the boxes are coming in from at this point in time. Very early days for some of these constituencies. Some of the votes might be coming from up in the hills, and it might explain the lead for the different candidates.
Yeah, so if they're coming from Harborview, that's the PNP's bastion.
Right.
They're coming in early. We expect the numbers, and we expect Joan Gordon Webley to be ahead coming out of that division. But if you go to Gordon Town now, we expect some numbers to be coming there for Juliet Holness for the Jamaica Labour Party.
St. Thomas Eastern, Fenton Ferguson right now with 1738. Michelle Charles Freeman of the JLP 1424. 41 boxes out of 123. So Fenton Ferguson, 1738 votes. Michelle Charles Freeman of the JLP 1424, and that's 41 boxes of 123. I think the numbers are starting to come in. So Emily and Earl, we could probably spend a little time going through some of the numbers very quickly.
By the time we reach 8 o'clock, we're going to have a lot of those results coming in.
Right.
So I think they have gone up a little bit for Portland Eastern. That one has moved on, but I think Reverend Jackson had moved slightly ahead. And if you can get back to that, Emily.
Right, in just a moment. I'm keeping a close watch as well on Hanover Western. This is a traditionally strong PNP seat, Floyd. But I'm hearing some rumblings there, and so I have it on one of my seats to watch, and interestingly, 14 boxes counted. And Tamika Davis of the JLP is now 748 votes. Ian Hales of the PNP, 608. I'm seeing voter turnout at the top of the screen to be 4%. But I don't think this could be the real numbers.
That sounds a little odd.
So we will double check. But I'm watching Hanover Western. I'm watching Hanover Eastern as well. So let me just check that seat.
But while you check that, Emily, let's go over to PNP headquarters with Janello.
Thank you so much, guys. Well, nothing much has changed since my last report, except for the fact that the supporters here are on edge. They have been tuned to our coverage on onespotmedia.com, and they've been reacting as the numbers keep coming in. Again, I've been told that party officials are preparing to make their way down to 89 Old Hope Road. And once we get someone, hopefully within the hour, I will definitely be giving you an update. But for now, it's over. Back to you in studio.
Thank you so much, Janella. And we are continuing to check. We're continuing to check on these results as they come in. We have Don Anderson on Zoom. Let's go to him for a quick comment. Don.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing
Good night,
very
everybody.
well, thank you. So
Hello.
Tell us what you're looking for this evening.
It's going to be one of those that's difficult to make too much of a comment about too early, because nobody quite knows what the effect of this COVID pandemic is going to really have on the entire outcome of the election. I think it's too early to even, when you're looking at some numbers coming in, I would not want to say that that's a trend that will hold. It depends on where the boxes are coming in from. And we just have to wait and see. It's much too early to even begin to think how some of these seats that we're already looking at will go.
All right. Well, I know we'll touch back base with you. I know we'll touch back base with you, Don. Thank you so much. Some results starting to come in, guys, for St. Ann Northwest. That's the constituency in which Dayton Campbell is trying for another term for the PNP. He's up against the JLP's Crystal Lee. Now, she is a councillor, but not in St. Ann. She's actually from the Retreat Division in St. Mary. So a newcomer to the constituency going up against Dayton Campbell, who, however, had a pretty small majority. So it's one of those seats that you are watching. I believe about 410 was his majority. Found it, Emily?
Right, I was checking. I'm coming to that. I was just going to update the listeners, the viewers on West Rural St. Andrew. Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, 985. Crystal Tomlinson, 459. 13 of 132 boxes.
Okay.
And
so St. Ann Northwest now. Dayton Campbell has 1,011 votes right now to Crystal Lee's 873, 20 boxes out of 127.
Let's stay in St. Ann a bit, because coming out of Southwest St. Ann, we're watching this as well. Xavier Main defending a wafer-thin majority there. 29 boxes counted out of 103. Xavier Main, 2,035. Valentin Wint, 855. Valentin Wint has been around the block several times, beaten several times in Northeast Manchester by Audley Shaw, and he's now gone over to Southwest St. Ann. We're watching this. So we'll keep you updated.
Let's just touch base with JLP headquarters. Andrea Chisholm on location there.
Well, Dion, it's pretty pedestrian here at the JLP headquarters on Belmont Road here in St. Andrew. As I indicated earlier, a handful of, well, not a handful, it's more than a handful, a number of police personnel are on duty trying to maintain law and order. Now, earlier I spoke with the JLP campaign spokesperson, Kamina Johnson-Smith, and she told JLP supporters that they should stay home and, watch the broadcast on traditional media or online. But earlier, a few minutes ago, before I came on live, I went outside on Belmont Road to see what was happening. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but there are just a handful of JLP supporters there. They have a bell, and sometimes you hear the sound of a vuvuzela or a bell that's ringing on occasion. But apart from that, I have not seen any of the top brass of the JLP here at the headquarters just yet. Just the key persons who are organizing the press conference, which should be happening later this evening. So for now, that is what is happening here at Belmont Road in St. Andrew.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Checking on some of those St. James seats that we're watching as well. Not seeing the numbers starting to come in yet, but let's go to a break and we're back in a moment.
TVJ's Decision 2020, brought to you by
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters' count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters' count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
Reduce your risk of viral illnesses like the flu and coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing with a tissue and dispose of it. Avoid close contact with anyone with a cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or the nearest health center and share your travel history. The flu and coronavirus can kill. Let's protect each other. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
"2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters' count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ.
Welcome back to Decision 2020. I'm Dion Jacksmiller. Okay, so we're going to some more results now because they are now coming in thick and fast. And I know, I know, Emily, you've been tracking some as well. What do you have your eye on right now?
I'm back at Western, Hanover Western, 19 boxes counted, 19 of 111. Tamika Davis of the JLP is leading with 996. Ian Hale, 719. Again, we're not sure where these boxes are. I'm trying to get from the EOJ how we can identify and look at the strong divisions for the parties and see if we can track a trend. Also, Portland Eastern, Anne-Marie Vaz there, 35 out of 127 boxes. She's leading with 2,088 votes over Purcell Jackson, Reverend Purcell Jackson, 1,809. East Rural St. Andrew, 31 of 132. Juliet Holness, 1,902. Joan Gordon Webley, 1,638. Eastern St. Andrew, won by only 161 in 2016. 39 of 110 boxes counted. Fable Williams, 2,482 over Venetia, 1,341. So perhaps the votes are coming in from both divisions in the St. Andrew Eastern constituency. None of the results available so far for the crucial seats in St. James, West Central, nothing yet being counted. And South St. James, we're watching that. Homer Davis going up against Dr. Walton Small, who was former principal of Mona Prep and also for Anchovy. No results coming out of there at the moment.
Big one to watch.
Yeah?
That's a big one to watch.
Just one box counted so far in North Central Clarendon.
Hold on 1 second for me, Emily. We are going to now declare, TVJ is declaring St. Andrew Southwestern.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
snow would
not
fall.
That's the constituency in which the PNP's Angela Brown Burke as a candidate. We are now declaring St. Andrew Southwest.
Yes, that's Portia's own seat.
I thought we had declared that some time ago.
Yeah, that was declared before polls closed.
Oh, boy. Snow would fall in Jamaica if otherwise happened.
Let's see. Nothing yet from St. Mary's Southeastern.
I'm looking at St. Thomas Eastern, where Fenton Ferguson is trying to become, what them call him? 5-star general, so now I'm trying for a 6-star. Right now, 47 boxes of 123. He's at 1957 to Michelle Charles Fremont, 1818.
All right.
The Charles family has been trying to recover that seat for quite some time now.
Just one box so far counted in Clarendon North Central. Robert Morgan, 74. Desmond Brennan, 31. So we're watching 4 of the Clarendon seats at the moment. Southeast Clarendon, a biggie. We're watching this. You should too. 27 boxes of 135. Pernell Charles Jr., 1,878. Patricia Duncan Sutherland, 1,127.
Here's Trelawney North that we're talking about earlier. 28 boxes of 135. The JLP's Tova Hamilton leading right now with 1,476 to Victor Wright's 1,179.
Yeah. So no clear trend as yet because we can't tell you exactly where these boxes are coming from.
Yeah, and we haven't seen anything from St. Catherine as yet. We haven't seen anything from Manchester, anything from St. Elizabeth or Westmoreland.
Right. Let me just check Westmoreland Central because of the interest I hear being generated there. No box yet counted in Westmoreland. I think the other 2 seats are, from all I know, safe PNP seats. Eastern was controlled for a long time by former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson, and Western has been with Wickham McNeil, actually.
The McNeils.
The McNeils. 2 boxes counted there. Wickham McNeil, 90, 2 out of 121, and Morland Wilson on 75. Again, don't know where those boxes are coming from just yet. Yeah?
Hold on for a moment for me. We're now going to declare St. Catherine Central for Olivia Babsy Grange.
Let's look at St. Catherine Northeast. You did say, Floyd, you haven't heard anything coming out of that yet. 33 of 107 boxes. Kerencia, she is now leading 1,507 to Oswest Senior Smith 664.
If we go over to the other end of the island, Portland Western now, Darrell Vaz's constituency, 7 boxes of 102. Valerie Nita Robertson has 278. Darrell Vaz 235.
Right.
So let's see if Portland Eastern has started to come in, and indeed it has. I think we went to this a little bit earlier. So 43 of 127, 2732 for Anne-Marie Vaz, 2126 for Purcell Jackson.
Right. Clarendon Southeast. I gave you those numbers a short while ago. So they are now at 32 boxes, 32 of 135. Purnell Charles, 2001-87 to Patricia Duncan Sutherland, 1003-53. That's 32 boxes of 135.
Is there anything on St. Catherine East Central?
No, nothing yet.
Nothing yet?
I'll check that in just a moment. Patricia.
Just went there, nothing yet.
Right. So
early numbers for St. Elizabeth Northeastern, 14 boxes of 120. Delroy Slowly of the JLP 741, Basil Waite of the PNP 528.
Seems to be a lot of Santa Cruz votes there.
Well, Hanover Western, the last time I updated you, I gave you 19 of 111 boxes. I'm now at 31 boxes of 111. Tamika Davis, 1,461. And Ian Hales, 1,409. 2% gap Tamika Davis has over Ian Hales at the moment from this traditionally strong PNP constituencies. 31 boxes out of 111, so some time yet to go.
Manchester Southern, 43 boxes out of 114. The JLP's Robert Chin, 2685. The PNP's Michael Stewart, 2136.
Right. Let's take you back to Eastern St. Andrew. The last time I updated you, it was 39 boxes. There are now 44 boxes. Fable Williams, 2,535. Venetia Phillips, 1,923. So the difference now is a 14% gap. But again, we don't know which division these boxes are coming from. But Fable was out in front at the start. She continues to be in front. Let's see what happens. So that's one of the crucial St. Andrew seats. Let's look back at West Rural.
Let's, I know we're doing the lower thirds where we're carrying the results on screen. So want to coordinate a little bit more closely with what our viewers are seeing. So St. Andrew Northeast, of course, that's Delroy Chuck. And he is now at 223. And his opponent of the PNP's Tolo is at 95. And this is one of those seats that was not thought to be in any serious danger for the JLP. Carl Samuda, and I think Carl Samuda will forever be known as the candidate who has managed to win this St. Andrew North Central seat for both parties. Indeed. And he's now at, okay, missed that one. Here we go with St. Andrew East Rural. Juliet Holness there, 2496. Joan Gordon Webley's 1962.
2496.
St. Thomas Western is one of those seats that again had a very late entry. People were expecting Mark Malava of the PNP to run in this seat. Instead, at the last minute, the PNP decided that Marsha Francis would run once again. She had run up against James Robertson last time around, lost by a pretty narrow margin.
Yes,
and
less than 400
we're seeing
votes.
early days here. He is at 97. She is at 58.
Dion, I want to jump in with Central Manchester, quite a bit of interest in that constituency. Rhoda Crawford of the JLP currently has 1,892 to Peter Bunting 1,328. That's turnout of 8%. I think that will adjust. 27 boxes counted thus far, 27 out of 128. So she has 59% of the votes counted thus far, and Peter Bunting 41%.
But you're not mentioning Rohan Chung.
13 votes.
Silence.
He actually got 13 votes.
He got 13 votes.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Double digits.
Anything from St. Mary as yet? Because
Let's look at Southeast St. Mary. No, not counting as yet. And that's the only St. Mary seat we really have a keen interest in. And Floyd?
well, I was hearing some rumblings about Western St. Mary, so I don't know what.
We have Manchester
is taking
Northwestern on
place
the
down
screen.
there.
That's Michael Phillips, 6759, and the JLP is Young up against him with 44-47.
Did we do Trelawney North recently?
No.
36 of 135 boxes counted. Tova Hamilton, 1,884. Victor Wright, 1,575. And independent, Genevieve Dawkins, 15.
Clarendon Northwestern we have on screen.
That's Richard Azan
Yes.
versus Sandstone.
What were you expecting in terms of Azan there? Asking you, Floyd, my apologies.
Okay. Well, I mean, Richard is one of, in my estimation, certainly one of the better members of parliament that we have. And I'm expecting him to come home. By the margin, I can't say. But, you know, I've spoken to individuals in the constituency leadership, and they are very much buoyed by the canvass that has been done. And I think that Richard should come home.
Now, from my knowledge of the political history of Clarendon, Northwest Clarendon has voted, certainly in recent political history, with North Clarendon. So both of them would travel together. Tracking North Clarendon at the moment, where newcomer Dwight Sibley's for the JLP is taking on Horace Daly for the PNP. Sibley's, 37 boxes of 97 counted. Sibley's is 2,083, and Horace Daly 1,644.
I'm now seeing 45 boxes. Sibley's leading with 2,697, 2,697, and Daly 2,056.
Yes, it has updated. Thanks. So that's interesting.
Again,
because
it depends on where in the constituency it's coming from, whether it's in Kellets, whether it's in Croftshill or Inantown. Very interesting to know what is where those boxes are coming in from.
So what happened in 2011 is that the JLP was able to flip Kellets. It was held by the PNP. All three divisions were held by the PNP in 2011. But they flipped Kellets in 2016, and they managed to dwindle the lead in Croftshill and in Inantown. So at the moment, Dwight Sibley's is a couple hundred of votes ahead of Horace Daly, with half of the boxes counted so far.
Okay, let's just go to a break. We come back with more results right here on Decision 2020 in just a moment. Do stay with us.
TVJ's Decision 2020.
"2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
Reduce your risk of viral illnesses like the flu and coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing with a tissue and dispose of it. Avoid close contact with anyone with a cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or the nearest health center and share your travel history. The flu and coronavirus can kill. Let's protect each other. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
It's the big one.
We are going to create the new Jamaica.
This team is ready to rescue Jamaica.
2020, the year of the most twists and turns, and we've got you covered. Decision 2020 COVID-style coverage. From the opening of the polls across Jamaica, our teams will bring you ballot-by-ballot coverage. We'll give you the latest voters count, spiced with our experienced analysts. Which party will form the next government? TVJ's Decision 2020, we've got you covered.
And thank you so much for staying with us as we continue our coverage of the 2020 election in Decision 2020. So the results are now coming in thick and fast, and we are going to continue to bring them to you. There are, of course, some key seats that we're following, because in any general election in Jamaica, you have some seats that are regarded as safe for the PNP, some that are safe for the JLP, and the ones you're really watching are the ones in the middle, the so-called marginals, the battlegrounds, the swing seats. And those are the ones that me and my expert panel here are tracking for you very closely. Okay, so we have for you now Manchester South. Okay, so Manchester South, we have here Michael Stewart, I beg your pardon, of the People's National Party, 2136. Robert Chin of the Jamaica Labour Party, 2685. And we are seeing there, we're about halfway there in terms of the boxes counted.
Can we go to Northwest St. Anne? Northwest St. Anne, a seat now held by Dr. Dayton Campbell of the PNP. Northwest.
This is one of those seats, Emily, that the JLP had announced very early they were targeting.
Yeah.
And Dayton Campbell said, well, you know, if you tell a sitting MP that you're targeting his seat, what do you expect him to do? So he claims that the new voters on the list, the majority of them were enumerated. There we're having the latest numbers there, Emily, on screen.
Right, so 58 out of 127 boxes. Crystal Lee, 3,120. Dayton Campbell, 2,571. And the fly in the ointment, Peter Shand, 405.
A definite impact he's having on this contest.
Absolutely. In fact, I've considered him, quite frankly, to be the pivotal in what happens. Because clearly, being a part of the PNP, he left, he's running independent, he has his sphere of influence and what have you, and it seems to me that he is pulling votes. Yeah. chances are he's pulling votes from both, but maybe more from Campbell at this point in time. And with the number of boxes that have been counted, this is very interesting.
They're
I think
halfway
we have to watch
there.
this one very carefully. Crystal Lee seems to be acquitting herself. Early days yet,
Yeah.
but of course, let's see what happens.
One of the things with this constituency is that the PNP is very strong in Brownstown.
In Brownstown.
So you have the JLP
And that's
winning in many cases, Bamboo, Sturgetown, Dry Harbour, and the PNP's majority, for instance, in the 2016 election, the PNP won the Brownstown division by 748.
Right, and
So-
the JLP won the other 3 divisions.
Yes.
So, you know, it depends again
On where
the boxes are coming from. Generally, in this constituency, Brownstown seem to be the last to come in.
Let's go to St. Andrew East Central now.
St. Andrew East Central?
Yes, that's Peter Phillips' constituency, the leader of the opposition. And we're seeing here just a few boxes, 5 boxes so far, 105 votes for him, 263.
Can we jump back to St.
Manchester
Andrew?
Northwest, we have on screen Mikhail Phillips, I beg your pardon. He is now polling 81 votes, and we have the JLP candidate. The JLP is young with 129. Again, very early here, only 4 boxes so far counted.
Can we hop back over to Eastern St. Andrew? The last time we updated you, they'd counted 9 boxes fewer. St. Andrew Eastern. Favour Williams up against Venetia Phillips, St. Andrew Eastern. At the moment, 53 of 110 boxes, Favour Williams 3,084, Venetia Phillips 2,309.
Now, this was an interesting seat again because traditionally the JLP